Welcome to Question Barefoot, where you question me about you. I got this one in from Simone from Aix-en-Provence in France, who says, I always feel guilty after pleasure. Can you help me? Fascinating, Simone. Yeah, I think this is very common. It comes from childhood conditioning, of course. I would suggest perhaps you might be Catholic, living in France, being French. Not that that's going to do more than amplify what goes on with people anyway, but the idea of the original sin, the idea that somehow we redeem ourselves in the eyes of the God by suffering, and that means by not having pleasure. I think it's safe to say that it's kind of a religious indoctrination over the millennia, the last couple of millennia and from before that, that somehow enjoying pleasure goes against the will of the divine. Now, everybody is entitled to believe what they wish. The Taoist approach is that what we call the divine, they call Tao. It just means the way. It's not a person. It doesn't judge you. It's just the force. It's the primordial consciousness that you embodied when you took form in the womb, when you were conceived. It's not a person. It doesn't sit and judge. It doesn't have a personal consciousness. It has a transpersonal, omniscient consciousness. And it is us. It is you. It expresses itself through us. It manifests as us just as nature manifests as flowers in the garden or trees or birds. And it's a human construct that goes over the top of that, that suggests that it anthropomorphizes this presence and suggests that it will be angry with you if you enjoy yourself. We could psychoanalyze this in much more depth. This isn't really the place. So let's look at how you can dispel this guilt. Unless, of course, you actually really enjoy the feeling of being constricted after the expansion. Maybe you require that to come back to yourself, to somehow find out who you are again. Say, I'm thinking of sex, obviously, but say you had le petit mort, you had the explosive, mind-blowing experience of the beautiful orgasm, an amazing tryst with a lover, and then you're left alone and you feel guilty. That guilt might be your unconscious way of understanding who you are again, because you have to re-describe yourself to yourself. You have to find your identity on the mundane level again. And I would suggest, so firstly, you go to yourself, it's me who generates this feeling of tension, which I think you'll find it is in the belly, that I'm calling guilt, because it makes me feel alive. It makes me remember who I am. And you do that proudly, not like I'm nuts to do that. And by doing that, that's owning it, it somehow loses its grip on you. And you realize it's an option, not a compulsion. It's not compulsory, rather. Then we look at what guilt really is. Guilt is a mask for fear. And specifically, and this will come from indoctrination as a child, fear of divine punishment. So you're not really feeling guilty. Guilt is really just a word that is used to describe if you've done something, you are guilty of doing that thing. It doesn't mean, therefore, you're wrong. It just means, okay, that's, well, it would mean that you, whatever. But it doesn't mean that you are in a state of guiltiness. That doesn't really exist as an emotion. There is fear of retribution, that somehow or other, you enjoying yourself will elicit punishment from somebody or an invisible presence, and you will suffer as a result. This comes from a misunderstanding of the nature of that presence. The presence is the Tao. It's your great mama. It loves you. It's made itself into you. Why would it want you to suffer? It just wants you to enjoy yourself so it can enjoy itself within you. Learn to hold the Tao in a different way as your beloved, to embrace it as your beloved friend rather than some scary authority figure. And because there's no rules to say it's this or it's that. And it will respond like that, or really you'll stop punishing yourself every time. You're entitled to enjoy yourself and to love every single moment, because that pleasure is the Tao in exquisite form. Honour it as that. And the guilt, which is imaginary anyway, will fall away. This is me answering your questions about you, your condition, off the cuff. And if you have any questions for me, it's fun, it's interesting, it's a different angle. It can help. It's quick, relatively speaking, and I enjoy it. I imagine you might too. Tell anyone you know who might have a question for Barefoot, who wants to ask Barefoot the question. I'm here at your service, so don't be shy. Make free to send your message to Dr. B. Thank you.